6:03 PM, January 25th. And up first is roll call of directors.
President Garvin,
Here.
Vice President Smith is absent. Treasurer Trapp,
Here.
Secretary Pratt,
Here.
Member Sparrow is absent.
All right, from there we have Pledge of Allegiance. Track.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That takes us to changes to the agenda.
I just have one addition, and that's some discussion on the AFG grant that just came out this morning.
Okay. And that'll be under the business action items or?
We'll do it under Chief's report.
All right, so that takes us to consent agenda, and we have a quick turnaround on our minutes from our last meeting, January 11th. If everybody's had a chance to review those, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I would move to approve them.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Secretary Pratt and a second by Treasurer Trapp. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. That takes us to financial report. We have 3 items on there, and I'll call on Chief if you'd like to elaborate on.
Yep. So I gave you just kind of a quick overview for this month's meeting. This is just payments going out. You'll see a bunch of city services charges. If you remember correctly, I think you heard last month we had, or last 2 weeks, we had to hand pay the employees just to a direct deposit issue. So that's why you'll see all those charges. Those are individual checks for individual staff. The rest of them are all, you can see what they are, predominantly monthly bills, medical supplies, and such. Moving forward, we are meeting, we're making very good progress on getting previous budgetary numbers into our QuickBooks program. And by next meeting, we'll actually be able to have an actual nice profit and loss that you'll be able to see income as well as expenditures on a monthly basis. Unless you want it, I likely won't do it every 2 weeks just because there's not going to be a lot of change in 2 weeks, but I will do it on the last meeting of the month for you. If you'd like them every 2 weeks, I'm happy to do it. It's just, they're kind of a little inaccurate because they're behind, if you will.
You good with monthly?
I like that, yeah.
Okay.
So,
You've got enough to do besides getting reports out every 2 weeks?
yeah, it's more along the lines, I want to get you what you're actually should be seeing. And we successfully completed that today, actually. So we know what report it will be. We're just now trying to get the historical data in so that you can actually see accurate information versus right now it's really day of information because we're kind of doing everything forward. And now Amy is doing a different Amy, our financial Amy is doing, putting the previous information in from the fiscal year or the previous July to December. So you'll actually see money coming in and money going out in next month's P&L. GEMT, we did get confirmation. We have not received it yet, but we did get confirmation. We will be receiving our GEMT funds again this year. It's a little over 400,000, 450,000-ish dollars. So we're just waiting for that paperwork to show and then receive that money, but it's good news. That's kind of always a hit and miss as far as, we should be getting it, but are we going to? So we worked hard the last couple of weeks since our last meeting of making sure we went line item by line item on the IGA between the city and the district, making sure that we closed all the loops that we needed to close. As far as like insurances, as far as changing utilities over from the drill tower and things like that. The city does have it's approximately $77,000 payment to us. And so that should be in your next, I thought it was going to be here today, but we didn't. That's why I had it on the agenda, but there'll be a $77,000 income from city. And that is the ambulance revenue once we cut it. And then we started billing, we're getting that information, that amount of money but there's, some bleed over that they're still receiving some money for ambulance transports from previously when we cut it and we started taking care of it. So.
So that's the ambulance check, not the tax revenue check?
Correct. Yes,
Or the missing tax revenue check get made?
not to my knowledge to this point. I don't think we've seen that deposited. Well, in fact, I know we haven't because I saw the deposits. So no, to answer your question.
That'll be another 77-ish
Correct.
thousand.
Unless there's any questions on financials, that's all I have for financials.
Okay, any other questions for Chief Godfrey?
Yeah, just for my understanding, who handles the GEMT funds as far as submitting all that?
Well, Amy takes the lead. I believe that Jenny does some of the work too from an ambulance side of things, if I know correctly.
How we process the check for the administrative fee and the non-federal share. And then when the payment comes in, Jenny will process the receipt.
And Amy's the point of contact in between.
Okay.
Any other questions around financials? All right, hearing none, that'll take us to public comment. This is the place in the meeting where anybody from the public on Zoom or in person can speak for 3 minutes on anything regarding district business. Unless it's something that is in pending litigation, we wouldn't comment on it, but we don't have anything of that, so. Is there anybody in the crowd that'd like to speak? Anybody on Zoom? All right. I will close public comment. And that takes us to business action items, and first up is a consultant scope of work.
So good news, we did get a consultant assigned to us. It'll be George Dunkel. Many of you may know George from his previous life here at MAC. Retired fire chief. He's been with SDAO for a long time. I'm waiting for a phone call from him, so that's why we don't have any other information. But he will be the one who will be putting together our scope of work, and he will be our consultant doing the work. They'll provide us a scope of work, and then they'll provide us a not to exceed bid. I did reach out to 2 other individuals. One did get back to me and is unable. He took on another job, so he's unable to do that, to provide the service. And then the other one never got back. So I reached out to SDAO. They have, I think, somewhere around 7 or 8 consultants. And we were assigned George. So hopefully very soon. I was hoping by today. They were supposed to call Monday, but I haven't heard. So, but the good news is that we'll be able to move forward with that. And they did accept the job, if you will. And of course, it'll come to the board for approval of the scope of work as well as the funds. Questions on that?
Any questions around the consultant and George Dunkel with SDO?
I have, I guess, one more go back. So I have collected all the historical documentation for the district/city when it was a department, which is your standard of cover and your what they call it something different, but basically your deployment plan, deployment model. Both of those will be probably complete rewrites just because of their age, because of the district sizing, and because of the sheer call volume and the increase in staffing. So those are the 3 documents we'll give them first to look at and see if they need to continue as individual documents, or maybe if we can combine the documents into a single document. That's what I'll be looking for from them.
All right, any other questions? That takes us to item B, the OFDDA membership at $1,200.
So that's the Oregon Fire District Directors Association, specific to you guys. They do have a conference in November. It's November 7th through the 9th. It's another avenue. So SDAO is special districts. They are all special districts. So they are fire. It could be public works. It could be a water district. It could be a school district and such. Whereas the OFDDA is specific to fire district board of directors. And they're specific to legislative items specific to fire departments. To become a member of them, there was multiple levels, but for our tax base, and size of department, it would be $1,200 a year to be a member, of that group. Again, they have one conference a year, November 7th through the 9th. So I just bring it to you guys as a board. You don't have to do it. But it's another avenue, another, more specific. They are sponsored by SDAO. So SDO does sponsor them actually. But they're more specific to the fire service versus SDAO, who is encompassing all special districts, if you will. So.
Does a membership with them get us any discount on our insurance rates?
It does on insurance rates. There's I think like 6 things that it actually gives you discounts on. I'd be lying if I told you I remembered all of them, but I do remember that actually one of them is insurance. Yes.
And then it's $1,200 annually for the whole
For
district.
everybody.
Okay.
Yes. And you get discounts then when you like register for your conference, you pay a membership rate versus a attendee rate, those type of things. Again, they're predominant. I mean, they do a lot of stuff like SDAO and such, but they're predominantly at the legislative level fighting for, fire district specific legislation.
Are you guys comfortable with that, or do you want more information put in the next board packet and make a decision then, or?
Are they a resource if needed, kind of like SDA?
Yes.
Okay.
They would be more of a specific style resource. And again, specifically, I'm going to use an example. What is the city's going to do the
Urban renewal?
urban renewal. So, districts, especially fire districts, but other districts too, may have may not agree with that. And so at the legislative level, that they would be taking things on like that. So that would be specific to the fire district. That's who our kind of avenue would be, if you will, to kind of put our emphasis behind if that's what you chose to do, or if you were against it. Not to say you would or wouldn't be against it, but those are the types of things that they would take on, firefighter safety things. And then they have significantly more detailed training for board members on, I mean, they like for me, they have, the SDO has like the chief's toolbox. I think it's 9 classes that you can take or that I've taken. OFDDA has those same type of classes where you can be a gold star, a silver star, and that's just how many of their say 15, I think it was somewhere around 15 classes that they had. And it's just kind of to better educate you and your board on best practices, ethics. They had certain things on like writing policy, those type of things. So, and again, it's the only reason, the only difference, if you will, is that they're specific to fire districts instead of districts as a whole.
I think personally, I think it's beneficial to be a member, it sounds like. Not to mention it also gives us on taxes, so. Or insurance.
You good over there?
Yes, sounds beneficial to us and the district. Sounds like they deserve our support. That's good things.
Sounds good. I'm good with it. I just want to make sure we're gonna take advantage of it.
Probably a motion for the amount.
So entertain a motion to join OFDDA at a cost of $1,200 a year annually.
I'll make a motion to. $1,200.
So we have a motion by Treasurer Tract and do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Secretary Pratt. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Motion passes 3-0. And that takes us to board committee reports. Anything new on those apps?
Just got forwarded to me by Chief Law, the monthly balance, basically. So balance as of November 30th of last year was roughly 931 and some change. Interest came in at around 23,500, so 2,350. But our payments out, as far as disbursements for benefits was 27,83, so little change, basically about $400. Otherwise, we're staying about the same.
Sounds good. Any questions, Ray?
No, I'm good with that.
I do have a question, but what does that account pay, like interest rate wise? Like
3%,
So the floor, 3.05
3.05.
is the floor.
Okay,
I don't know, yeah, I can get you what the current rate is, but I know it's a floor of 3.
gotcha.
Currently.
But it's like a full investment account, so it's not something you could like stack CDs with and make a greater return right now.
I can double check that, I do not believe so, sorry, I'm trying to.
No,
I do not believe so, there's, I do,
Okay.
but I can check to see if there's,
I asked them the same.
and see what the current rate is, because I believe it is.
We can bring you back more info on if there is any other options at your next meeting.
I mean, obviously, we want it to be 100% safe, but if you could stack CDs, then
It would pay
you know
for
they
itself.
mature. Yeah,
Yeah.
you start getting in that positive instead of
Well, and we can look at, when, Director Trout and I spoke together a couple weeks ago about this too, is currently they're not paying the lease, for several years, and people are being paid during the plan. And part of that is because the lower interest rates of these were extremely expensive. Obviously, the markets have changed now, so we could possibly look at redeploying that and seeing if it is in the best interest of the district to use some of those funds to purchase an annuity for individuals instead of paying directly. So right now, a good majority of people are being paid directly from the plan funds because the decision was made a decade ago that the annuities were too expensive.
yeah.
You know, they're down 0.5%.
Okay,
So we could definitely do some research on that.
I'm good. Thank you. Anything else on LoSAP? That takes us to branding. We obviously accepted the patch design last. I guess my only other question for branding is where we're at on website and if the logo's been sent over to website team for.
Yes, so I'll update a couple things on branding. Yes, to answer your question, it is actually on the website. I'd be happy to send you a link to take a look at it. The website is built out, no information, but the website's built out. It looks really good. The staff chiefs and Donna approved it a couple days ago, 3 days ago. And so it actually looks pretty nice. The colors, how it kind of flows. So now, from that approval, they're gonna start moving our personal and professional information over. So there's more to follow on that. They didn't give us a date on launching, but yes, it is on there.
Gotcha.
From the patch perspective, we are getting a bid right now. We'll probably get several bids, but one right now they're using 511, I believe, to get a bid, to get a drawing. It's about $100 if I remember correctly, to do an actual, design of the patch. And then we'll get a couple demo patches so we can kind of see how it contrasts with different, not different colors, but different raises on, on the shoulder patch, how it's raised on the outside. So we're doing a couple of different mock-ups of that. And then unfortunately, they said 6 to 8 weeks once we hit the go button, but there's some holidays that they're dealing with, so it could take a little bit longer than that. And apparently, I think someone asked at the last board meeting, the sourcing is where we discussed, so it is gonna be even more of a delay. We did meet with a seamstress today, when I picked up a coat. And she is actually willing to help us with the transition of taking our old patches off and putting our new patches on. So we have everything in line. It's just getting the patch physically in our hands and created. But all that is moving forward pretty rapidly.
Sweet. Thank you for that update. Any other questions around branding? All right, board information report, anything from the board? Um. Got nothing that's not already on the agenda, so. That'll take us to department reports, and first up is local 3099. Nothing tonight, and any proxy volunteer. Reports? Okay, looks like you're still up, chief.
Civil service update, we have a meeting with local 3099, myself and Vicky on next week. I think it's Tuesday. I believe we will come with a completed draft document. It's your guys' document as well as the Civil Service Commission. We do have, I believe it was 16 applicants. Close to that. I might be plus or minus a couple, but got some really good applicants. So once we come up with a draft civil service document, we'll obviously get that to you guys for discussion. Of course, it's the board's decision. My recommendation is that we wait till at least you've kind of confirmed that document, because that will help guide you in how you'll select the process or the persons for the process, if you will. And that'll be at your guys' discretion, but we'll provide, I believe, well, I know by the next board meeting, we'll have a draft civil service document for you all to review. We're close. The three different entities, Vicky, myself, and local 39 have been working very well together closely, but we've kind of got three different working documents. So now we said, okay, no more emails. Everybody's going to come together and we're going to have one document and we'll get it put together. So any of the concerns that 3099 had brought up before, which was just the making sure that the contractual language was in there, so it didn't contradict what contractually we've agreed to. That's all been put in. We are adding the single role individuals into the civil service document for your review. That'll give us one platform to do all of our testing, all of our hiring, all of our appeals, those type of things. Of course, if approved by the board. So I think we're in a good place, and I think you'll see a draft document by your next meeting.
Awesome.
Administrative Services Director and Finance Manager, we got all that done. We agreed on a salary, and then we realized that the fire district does not have an application process because we always use the cities. So we have created that application, and now we're just doing a supplemental sheet for the candidates to complete. There's 5-ish questions, I believe it is. 5, 7, maybe, questions that they'll, supplemental questions that they'll have to do in addition to their application. And then I have reached out to some outside professionals that work in that field to help us with the evaluation process. And then there'll be a couple internal individuals that will also help with that process. We've kept it between Dawn and myself so that anybody internally, either by the city or internally to the fire district, could apply if they so chose. That way we just allowed everybody to have the opportunity if they wanted. So I think we finished the finance one today. We're working on the HR one, and that should be out very soon. So we'll get it posted. We're going to post it for 30 days. There will be a single poll at the 2-week mark. And if we have viable candidates at 2-week mark, we will start the process, and it will be clearly delineated and identified. I know other jurisdictions do that, position open until filled, but we will have an end date of 30 days. If we don't get something in 30 days, if we don't get viable candidates within 30 days, we'll come back to the board with some suggestions and such. But I will say we've already had a couple of interests that have heard that we're going to post for it that have asked. So we've just provided them the overview document and then told them, keep your eye out for the posting. So question on that? One of the things that we did, just so you all know, one of the things during the salary studies that we did find that coming from the city. Our job descriptions here don't match what they were in the city, as you guys can probably imagine. You know, a city has their individuals typed by groups, right? So you might be an admin analyst because there's 30, 40 admin analysts across the city. Now that we're a district, we need to better describe and descript what our positions are. So we will be doing that once we get those individuals on board. That will also then take us to a likely salary study to make sure that we're in line and that we're not one way or the other. So that'll all be completed once the administrative services director is on board.
So do we have with those comparables, do we have a number currently for those job postings?
We do.
We do. Gotcha.
You mean amounts?
Yeah.
Yes. 2 seconds. The administrative services salary range is 90,812 to 136,219, depending on qualifications. And the finance manager is 89,387 to 120,258, depending on qualifications. One of the things that we ran into is from a salary study perspective, we're actually pretty low, but because of our salaries internally of our assistant chiefs and other staff, it would have put them significantly past them. That would have caused significant compaction. So I made the decision to keep them less than and do a full salary study of everybody once we get actual job descriptions, job duties, what you're actually doing so that we can fairly evaluate each individual position.
Any other questions around administrative director or human or finance manager?
Okay, we have 2 individuals from the single role side that we will be testing. One is local, lives here in McMinnville, and the other one is from Antarctica. So that will be a Zoom call, I'm assuming. But we did find an error, which we believe has probably led to lower than what at least I expected. Unfortunately, we had a firefighter 1 requirement in the single role application. It was probably just a mistake, cut and paste type thing when we're doing single and dual role. We have since corrected that. And I'm hoping that will allow us to broaden our applicant pool, since we're trying to pull for a single role position versus, a lot of those individuals likely don't have their firefighter. So it was a mistake. It was caught, it's fixed. And so we'll move forward with that.
All right. Any questions around hiring? So IGA update?
I kind of touched on that. Basically, we went through the IGA with a fine tooth comb, making sure that if there was anything that we were required to do, that we completed those. We did receive all of the titles, which was quite the stack of titles from the city for all of our vehicles. So we will have to be sending someone, a full-time person, for the next 2 weeks to DMV to start transition all of those titles to the fire district. So we'll be working on that forward. Like I said, there was a few things that we had agreed on, an insurance umbrella for the city, paid for by us for 2 years. We have secured that. There was a transition of services to the drill tower, power, garbage. I thought there was one other thing. Anyways, we have transitioned, I believe, 2 of the 3 things, and we're working on the 3rd right now. We already get direct billed for the 3rd one, but we need to change it into our name. So we're working on that one. As far as I'm concerned, we have completed our obligations on the IGA as far as the loose ends that we had. So questions on that?
I do think you can only do 5 title transfers at any given day at an office.
That's why I said I need a full-time employee.
Or you can mail a stack, but send them certified.
Okay. Oh, you can actually mail them?
Yeah, I'll bring you a stack of 226 forms.
That might be nice. Okay,
Or you can actually fill them out online too. It's
Yeah.
printable.
okay. Cool. Yeah, we'll get on that. AFG grant, which is the addition that I asked for at the beginning. It was open, it's not open. The information was emailed out this morning, stating the opening date will be, the 29th of this month, to the 8th of March. No, yeah, March 8th. I did read through it. We have, as you guys have made it clear, we have several running issues within this organization from a upgrade perspective, safety issues, SCBA's that need to be replaced. We are working on right now a bid process to rehydro our bottles to get those up. And then we have put together a committee that will involve majority of the line staff as well as overseen by a staff chief officer that is, to demo, use the packs and come up with a recommendation of a pack moving forward, whether we could do it off an AFG or not. The AFG did not have air packs specific on their preferred list this time. They had fill stations and decon stations and stuff for SCBA's, but not specifically SCBA's. However, they did have radios was a top priority. I think I talked to you guys about that last meeting. Our radios are either our radio system is end of life by more than 6 years. And I'm talking eBay parts, not being facetious. When it goes down, we're literally getting the parts off of eBay. 2 of our towers have gone down and they're not coming back up because we can't get parts for them. So we're utilizing those 2 towers for parts for the other towers to keep it up and running. It is a priority AFG grant option. I did also meet with the sheriff today. The sheriff is also in the same boat that we are. He is also very interested and currently working through a process of procuring and purchasing a radio system. My recommendation to him, as well as to anybody, is that we don't build our own system, that we piggyback. There was a study that I accidentally found. It was a 2019 study for Yamhill County that recommended partnership with WACA, Washington County's system. I do want to do some more due diligence on that. I think when that was written, it's because the state declined us to be on their system. I believe that's because the state system wasn't completely up and running yet and able to accept outside customers. So we do want to make sure that we, close those loops because that's a statewide system. That is an option for potential AFG grant monies. When I look through the list, it's the highest probability / possibility of things that are in much need in the district at this time, in my opinion. Either way, we will have to do something with our radios and radio system. We have approximately, we will need over the next 3 years about $600,000 worth of radio replacements. And you have a system that is, as I stated, is literally no longer serviceable. And so we can't fix it even if it breaks. And I think all of you can appreciate the fact that we can't operate. We can't send our firefighters into buildings like that. We can't get calls for service without that. And so it is my recommendation that we pursue the AFG funding grant. My question or request tonight is that if you feel like that's something that we can pursue, I will pursue it and kind of get some costing numbers. I will work with the sheriff. I did talk to the sheriff today and say that we had a meeting tonight. Because of the short time frame, we need to get working on the process. My goal tonight would be is if that's something that you guys were interested in, moving forward with, we can move forward with it, get the costing estimates to the best of our ability and present them to you at the next meeting, or maybe 2 meetings from now prior to applying for the grant. And I'll have to look at what matching funds there is some matching funds to some of these programs. And so we would have that information for you also, so that you would, right now, the radio, the gentleman takes care of radios. His recommendation this year is $150,000 worth of radio replacements. So, if you partnered with a system, we would be, and I'll just use WACA for an example, only because, that study was done and that's what it recommended. It would cost us about $41,000 a year in radio fees to WACA. But the advantage to that is we don't have to take care of the system. We don't have to take care of the product. Now, there is additional costs because depending on coverage, and depending on who we went with, whether it was the state, whether it was WACA, whether it was Salem, we would have to do radio studies, radio system studies for in-building penetration, in hip penetration and stuff. So this isn't something that will just be done today, but we do have a collaborative effort with other entities in the city or in the district that I think we could partner with to lessen our costs, as well as an AFG grant that would help bridge those costs. Either way, my personal opinion is we have to do this very soon, whether it would be this year or next year or such. But the research that I've done, we are at a point of no return because we can't fix what we have. So.
I agree. I think it's inevitable. I'm guessing we would be purchasing the radios themselves, so correct?
There are 2 options. I would cost out both options. There are radio rates and there's system rates. The system rates for WACA is, I believe it's $380 per unit per year, which is the 41,000 that I had said. Radio, that's system rates, excuse me. That's system rates. If we have our own radios and we go onto their system, it's $500 and some odd dollars. If we did radio rates, which then would include the radios, or potentially could include the radios. But before I committed to that, I would want to have those conversations with either the state or WACA. The sheriff does have a different study than I have, which I'm not sure where his came from. And so he's sending me that information to look at also. But we would want to do our due diligence and see which one made the most amount of sense fiscally. I will tell you, as I explained to the sheriff tonight, it's actually easy to buy radios. It's actually easy to program radios and talk on radios. What isn't easy is maintaining a radio system. It's costly, it's technical. And so partnering with a partner agency, whatever that is, to me, and coming from a system that I helped build, it does make the most amount of sense for a district of our size. We can't afford to build a $12 million radio system. So, and our disadvantage is unlike most entities, you build a system for your fire district. Well, we have to have a system where we can talk in the 500 square miles that the ambulances are going also. So that's why it's I think a good partnership with the sheriff's office, with the county, because they have the same issues, right? They have to go countywide also. So that was, I thought, a positive conversation today. And again, it's just another partner to kind of try and spread that amount out.
Any other AFG grant questions or radio questions? All
Is
right,
this something you guys would like me to pursue, or would we like to? Okay,
do a motion or just a head nod?
no, if you give me a head nod, I'll bring more information for you to motion, but I just wanted to make sure that the board was okay with that, and we'll do our due diligence as fast as we can to prepare ourselves for the.
I guess my only question is then that would be WACA then dispatching?
No,
Okay,
we would upgrade the consoles at YCOM.
okay,
And no, we would still,
okay.
it's just the WACA's radio system. Those are 2 separate things. So you've got WACA 911 and WACA's radio shop, if you will. Salem has the same thing. They've got WVCC, but then they've got the radio shop, and those are they're managed by the same people, but they're different entities.
Okay,
So your contract would be with WACA's radio shop, if you will,
yeah,
versus their dispatch center.
because, yeah, Newburgh did it a little bit differently, fires now separate than police and.
We would not do that.
Yeah,
We would stick with, I also have a meeting with Patty at Wycom on Monday. That I'll have that discussion also. There also is radio funds. We pay into a radio rate, all of us do. And there is 900 and some odd thousand in that pool of money also specific for radios. So the sheriff's office is technically speaking the lead for the county on radios. Wycom gave it up. I think he said 2015. So I guess my point is we're talking to the right people.
Any other questions? All right, that takes us to correspondence. Anybody get any good email over the last?
Did you even get any emails? That's the question.
Anything from you, Secretary Pratt?
No, it's been quiet.
What about you, Treasurer Trapp? Anything? No? I thought I had one, but I don't see it in here, so must have been a council email. All right, so that takes us to informational items. We have Assistant Chief Jan Fox celebration tomorrow from 1 to 3 here at the fire station. And then we have fire chief swearing in ceremony tomorrow night at 6 to 8 with swearing in at 6:30. If you're available, would love to see you here.
We did post for you guys on the city's website that there is a potential quorum of board members at those. But there will be no business conducted. So just an FYI, we did post that today. Good.
Anything else for the good of the order?
So I was asked on the Jan Fox thing whether or not there's gonna be any kind of formal ceremony to begin with, or if it's just a flat out reception.
The family, they ran into some issues. So no, there's actually not going to be a burial and there's nothing formal. It's family, friends getting together, celebration, if you will, versus there is, I guess, but to your point, there is an honor guard folding of the flag and presentation. The honor guard will be here for that tomorrow.
Okay,
But as far as funeral and as far as it's more of a celebration.
Any other questions? All right, with that, our next meeting will be Thursday, February 8th at 6 PM or 1800 here at Station 1. And I'll adjourn tonight's meeting at 6:47 PM. Well, on my computer, so slow.